All right, Josh, we are back from break, and I want to talk about Dave Roberts because this is an interesting conversation I'd love to hear your thoughts on. I've seen it pretty split on social media. A lot of people are saying Dave Roberts has to go. This is the final straw. A lot of people are saying Dave wasn't the one that was allowing 10 runs in the first inning. He wasn't the one that's getting paid 500 million to go 0 for 21 at the plate. So, what are your thoughts on Dave Roberts and his job security following this series against the D-backs?
Well, this year the Dodgers won 100 games in a year where we did not expect them to win 100 games. They won the division with ease when everyone was picking the Padres to not only win the division but win the World Series, um, which I think also is credit to both the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. And the Padres just completely fell flat. But those are two teams that I think everyone was saying maybe they'll make a run behind the Diamondbacks or behind the Padres, but Dodgers won 100 games. They win the division with ease. They fell flat in the postseason, but this is the fifth time in 8 years that Dave Roberts has coached his team to a 100-win season. One of those three where he didn't do that was when they won 47 games in the shortened season, or 43 games in a shortened season. And the comparison to a full 162 game season is that equates to a 116 win season. So, you
Pretty
know,
good.
and then the other two times were 91 and 92 wins where they won the division still. So, you know, I'm not I'm not blaming Dave for this because I feel like again, the team has been an absolute wagon under Dave in the 8 years that he's been here, including, the years where they haven't had a great start and have had to come from behind, just like this year. Like the season started and we were thinking, like, what is this team going to turn out to be? And they
Yeah.
turned out to be a team that won 100 games and won the division by 16. So, um, I think that it's easy to blame the manager, and I've heard a couple of times like somebody has to take the blame for it, and usually that falls on the manager. But in this case, I think why? Because as you and I have talked about on the show a couple of different times, I think probably almost anybody could have taken some of these Dodgers teams over the course of the past few years and won the NL West. Like it
Yeah.
could have been anybody. That the teams were that good and they were that well built and well constructed by Andrew Friedman. But this year, yes, you have your core players, both pitchers and hitters, but more importantly, you have kind of this collection of value buys. That's kind of what we've been saying. The high reward, low risk players that the Dodgers have kind of thrown into this concoction of a roster and to see what you get out of it. And what you got was a team that won 100 win or won 100 games, won the division with guys like Ahmed Rosario, Kike Hernandez, Ryan Yarbrough coming in at the trade deadline, Lance Lynn, value buys, all of them. The high reward, low risk players. Well, I mean, I think Lance Lynn was kind of a high risk, but either way, but all the rookies that were pitching, Pepio, Bobby Miller, Emmett Sheehan, like the guys that left, Trey Turner, Corey Seager 2 years ago now, but Justin Turner, like, and then some, Cody Bellinger. You've got all these guys that left, and the replacements, you know, for lack of a better term, were guys that a lot of them were going to be rentals and 1 year deals just to kind of see what you get from the Dodgers this year. And they won 100 games under Dave and company. So I understand that you typically blame the manager. I just don't see it. I think he's in
Yeah.
the conversation for manager of the year this time. And like I know that he usually is, but the team's always that good. I legitimately think that he's the manager of the year this year in the National League. And beyond that, I know so many people have been calling for Roberts to be let go. Who in the world is a better option right now? Who do you hire? What like I want a legitimate better replacement to be put out there because no one's gonna cough one up.
The only chance that the Dodgers had to strike was with Bruce Bochy when he was still retired. If you wanted someone that was a better option, that was the only chance. But outside of that, Josh, I agree. Like, what are you going to do? Get Gabe Kapler in? Because he did a fantastic job with the Giants, leading them to mediocrity every year. I
Yeah.
mean, like, it, I saw something on Twitter about bringing Chase Utley in, which I do think Chase Utley would actually be a decent hire, but they don't go that route. But I agree, Josh, because one thing, if you do have to fire Dave Roberts, which again I guess a lot of people are getting behind, you have to take in mind who are you replacing him with? I don't think you're replacing him with anyone better, than anyone that gives you a different chance. Sure, maybe people want a different voice in that clubhouse, but Dave Roberts is probably the best player manager in all of baseball, as every player that's played for him has said. And Josh, you pretty much laid out his resume from this past season as to why he should win Manager of the Year. The job that Dave Roberts did in 2023 is the best job he's done as manager of the Dodgers. Dave Roberts isn't the one that took the mound in game one that allowed 6 runs or whatever in the first inning. Dave Roberts isn't the one that allowed a record breaking 4 home runs in game three. Dave Roberts isn't the one that is expected to be an MVP finalist that went 0 for 21 at the plate. Dave Roberts didn't do any of that. Sure, there were a couple of questionable decisions maybe in game three that I'll get to in our next segment, but Dave Roberts didn't lose the series for the Dodgers. Dave Roberts didn't lose the series for the Dodgers in 2022. At the end of the day, the players have to show up. I know fans want a scapegoat. They want someone to pay for the postseason exit. That should be Robert Van Scoyoc, Josh. If anyone should be losing their job, it should be the Dodgers hitting coach, because this is now 2 consecutive postseasons in which, for some reason, the bats that are the best in all of baseball go completely silent. Their approach completely changes. I mean, during the regular season, this was a team that we were kind of complaining, Josh, they're walking too much. They're almost looking to walk. In this series, I don't know how many walks the Dodgers even drew. It seemed like they were going up there and swinging at the first pitch. So if anyone deserves to be fired, it should be Robert Van Scoyoc. Now, I do think there should be a conversation had between Friedman and, Stan Kasten and Dave Roberts saying, listen, Dave, this next season is kind of do or die, I think, for you, because at some point you do have to maybe take a look in the mirror and say, we might have to make a change. I don't think it's this year, but they should have those conversations. But yeah, I don't think Dave Roberts should be fired. One, because again, you're not replacing him with anyone better unless Tommy Lasorda just comes back and is able to manage the team. But even if social media was around in the 80s, I'm sure they'd have a lot of criticisms for him as well. You just can't do that. And again, Josh, Dave Roberts is not the reason this team lost. He's the reason that they may have lost in previous years, like in 2018, 2019, when he made some bad calls. But these last 2 years especially, it's not on Dave Roberts, it's on the team. And I just don't think you can fire him. And potentially, no one's even talking about this, Josh. You risk messing up that team chemistry in the clubhouse next year. We saw what happened with Gabe Kapler and how he lost the Giants apparently in the final couple of weeks. We've seen how players have stopped caring under certain managers. That's not the case ever with Dave Roberts. The players love playing for him. So you're risking losing that as well, which you just can't afford to do.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look, like, I know that people have, like, okay, let's start over here. The things that the Dodgers have kind of had to dealt with, let's say on and off the field over the past couple of years, he's guided them through. Of course, you have the Trevor Bauer distraction, you have the Julio Urias distraction, and we don't need to get into those, but he's been in charge during those incidents and has kept the team on track and really had no drop-off performance-wise after them, right? He kept the guys focused. He kept the team rolling. You look back at the World Series season, one of the most difficult seasons to manage in sports. The fact that the season was going to happen, it wasn't going to happen. When's it going to happen? It finally happens. And you play a shortened season and you win 43 games. You just absolutely blister past everybody in the regular season. And then you had to win more playoff games than in any other season in baseball history to get there and win the World Series, let alone come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NLCS. Like, he was the person in charge of all those games. He kept them in it when they were down and managed brilliantly through the 2020 World Series, which, again, you want to call it a Mickey Mouse ring or whatever, but you had to win more playoff games than in any other season. There was a World Series. They were the best team, and they won it, and Dave Roberts was the manager. After that, like, if people want to argue about this season and say, like, well, he should be putting this team in a better position to win, like, his best players aren't figuring it out, like, they got to do something about that. Like, first of all, it's a 3-game sample size. And what, are you not going to bat Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman as your 1 and 2 hitters after the regular season? Like, nobody else in baseball would change that up. Like, he didn't tell them to go in and be like, guys, you guys should suck. It would be really funny. Like, it's all a joke. It's all fine. Like, what is he supposed to do? Like, they were in the position to lead the team to a series win, and they didn't do it. Dave and the front office.
He tried in game 3 by switching up the lineup. He's like, something's got to change, so I'm going to switch up the lineup. So he tried. He made an effort.
Yeah, and then in game 1 when Kershaw starts, First of all, are we going to sit here and act like that's Dave's fault? That's insane to me. That is
Right.
absolutely bonkers to blame anybody on that other than Kurt. He didn't deliver.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, the Dodgers lost this series because of Clayton Kershaw and this is his. No, he didn't deliver. Like, it happens. It happened really bad, but
Yeah.
he had a bad outing. Like, the worst we've ever seen. But, like, again, that's not on Dave. And I'm sure Kershaw would have gone up in game 4 and probably not would have given up 6 runs in the first. I don't know what would have happened, but I don't think
Yeah.
he would have given up 6 runs in the first inning. But I don't think that's on Dave, especially when Friedman is involved in those kinds of decisions as well. So I just don't understand how that could possibly fall on him. So just to wrap it up, at least on my end, absolutely not. There
Yeah.
is in no world where I see the Dodgers move on from Dave Roberts, and there is absolutely no reason I see for them to do that. And the alternative is Gabe Kapler.
Yeah. No.
Like, well, no, no.
Yeah.
AJ Hinch, absolutely not. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
he has a job, but absolutely not.
I mean, like, yeah, who's even available? Like, if they're available right now, like
Nobody's
I saw,
available, and you're not going to hire anybody away.
I saw people out there throwing out Buck Showalter, and I'm thinking, man, that went great in New York, didn't it? Like, what's gonna change? That's
Absolutely
why.
not.
Like,
Absolutely not.
again, that's why I think Bruce Bochy was the only chance they had. And you know what would happen, Josh, if for some reason the Dodgers let go of Dave Roberts? Before that news even becomes official, we're going to learn that up there in San Diego, Bob Melvin's going to be relieved of his duties, and Dave Roberts is the new manager of the Padres. That would happen instantly. And I'm just saying, if Dave Roberts became the manager of the Padres, that would not be a team that's missing the playoffs. That would not be a team that's underachieving. Then they might choke in October, but you do not want that. So Dave deserves to stay. This was his best job he's ever done. You're not finding anyone better.